Hey everybody, my name is Jeff Crane, and I'm here in Utah, out here in the West. And I wanted to thank everybody at the 2023 AI Revenue Summit for inviting me to speak today. Today I'm going to talk about how to identify AI companies to get involved with and to potentially invest with. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. In the last 6.5 years, I've been involved with blockchain and crypto and actually even NFTs. Spun up a business out of Puerto Rico, which was a blockchain company. And then for the last 3 years, I've been making movies under the moniker of NFT the Movie. At the end of last year, I noticed that commercially, AI was becoming a really big thing, and the average person was jumping into things like ChatGPT. And so my partners and I, Brian and Landon and myself, spun up a company called AI Incubated. And immediately we started creating our own businesses. One of them is AI.NYC, which is an events company out of New York, to which we'll be doing live and digital events. The other one is AI Mondays, which is a digital events platform for the rest of the United States, and we'll be spinning up a Utah AI Association. There's other companies that we have invested our time and energy and money into, such as All the AI, which you may be hearing from Brian, the CEO and founder, even on this event. The other ones that we are involved with is a company called Scribe Books AI, to which we'll be doing AI books and helping individuals do their own books. There's some companies here in Utah I'd like to give a shout out to that we support. Event Stack. It's an AI event revenue driven company. The other one is Spaghetti AI. It's an AI development and product suite. Enhanced AI, which is a middleware AI services for developers. The reason that I tell you about all these companies is you have probably noticed that hundreds of AI companies are spinning up, if not weekly, monthly. And we all have been in the situation where we see an opportunity and we jump out and we go grab that opportunity. We feel that whether it's language or it's visual or it's video, there's such an opportunity for AI. And so what I'd like to do is talk about 3 principles as it relates to getting involved with an AI business. Whether that is you're putting in some sweat equity and working for that company, using those tools and talents that you may have procured over the years, or whether it is that you're putting a little bit of your money into it as well. Number 1 is the principle of the jockey. I've always been successful in businesses that I've invested in the jockey versus the horse. If you have a mediocre horse, but with a great jockey, somebody who can lead and guide and manage, you're always going to have a better success rate than if you go for the number 1 horse and not worry about who's riding that horse. Number 2, you want to take a look at the environment. Which category are you looking at? Are you looking at a category where it's a tool? And if so, what kind of marketing experience does that company have to be able to promote that tool? That's very important. We all know that, and you've probably been there as an entrepreneur, where you've created a business and you've had it ready to go, but you didn't have an audience. So number 2 would be to make sure that you have that audience first if you are creating a tool. What if you're creating a service? What if you're creating a service that is maybe at arm's length, like a middleware product, where programmers are using that service? Well, you better make sure clearly that that product works flawlessly, that it's going to add value to the customers that you're selling that service to. And then we have also the opportunity to get involved with, like in my case, with events. So if you're looking into an event company that you want to be a part of, or maybe spin up, you're going to want to invite companies to that event that are going to teach people new things. They're going to allow them to be able to use maybe the tools that the person that's on stage is promoting. But in my experience over the last 3 years in the NFT space, I've noticed that when we go to these big events, you'll find there'll be a panel of 5 or 6 people, and you'll go from event to event to event, hearing kind of the same things like over and over again. And after a while, if you're like me and you go to these events, you realize that you really want something new. You want to be able to find an opportunity, maybe find people that are a little bit different than the average person. And so lastly, you definitely want to make sure that there is revenue behind that company. That, you know, the number one problem with most small businesses is undercapitalization. So you want to make sure that when you get started with those companies, that they have some money to be able to grow their business with, right? That yours isn't always the first money in. That's what I've found. Secondly, you want to make sure that the company has a marketing plan and a budget, right? If you have a really good marketing plan, it can kind of help that company earn the money, right? Instead of taking on debt. So, on a piece of paper, I'd like you to draw a triangle, okay? At the top of that triangle, and you guys have probably heard this before, would be, we'll call it work. We'll call it effort, okay? The next part of the triangle is your results. And then the last part of the triangle is access. And what that creates is a brand. Those 3 things will create a brand. So at the very top is the work that you do. What is the work that you do on a day-to-day basis that would help this AI business succeed? Are you investing money and then standing back and letting them take your money to grow your money, or are you involved? And if you're involved, what kind of work are you doing? If you put in the hard work and you have great values and you show up on time and maybe you're a connector and you connect people to that business, then what's going to happen is you're going to create a result. And that result will be based on the work that you do, and then you're going to create what's called access. Now what's interesting is if you cheat at the top, that work that you do, if you cheat at the top, what's going to happen is your results will change and so will your brand. So the first things first is to make sure that if you do get involved with any type of AI business, maybe some of the businesses that I just mentioned, or you know, the dozen other companies that you'll probably hear from today, first things first is what can you contribute to that business, okay? Now, years ago, working at events all over the country, I was working with an organization. It was called T. Harv Eker. He's a gentleman who wrote a book, The Millionaire Mind. And I was the director of marketing. I remember going to an event and standing back and watching from afar the interactions of the people. And I didn't talk to them, I just kind of watched their nonverbal communication. And what I came up with was 5 personality traits. Now this goes into when you're investing in a person, right? You're investing in that jockey. You want to find out where you fit and where they fit. So I'm going to tell you these 5 personality traits that I came up with that'll be very easy for you to remember. So just remember A, B, C, D, and E. Okay? You have attractor, believer, connector, doer, and E is for everybody. Now myself, I'm what's called a believer connector. So I'm a BC. If I believe in you and I believe in your product, I'm going to connect you with other people who can solve problems within your organization. Maybe it's the legal side, like my business partner Brian. Maybe it's the marketing side, like my business partner Landon. Maybe it's a connection to money, where you can refer people that they're interested in investing in that business. So I'm what's called a believer connector. Now what I typically do is I hang around the attractors and the doers. The attractors are the people who float around and they somehow, you've seen them. Comedians are attractors, actors and celebrities are attractors, people who get up on stage, who are dynamic, guys and gals who can attract an audience. And what they do is they're like a butterfly. They float around and they don't get too deep with anybody, and that's how they can kind of manage a whole group. And then you have the doers. The doers are the programmers and the developers and the detail-oriented people, okay? And then you have the E's. Now, most billionaires, I have some really good billionaire friends, I'll just keep them off this video here and tell you that they are the E's, where at any given time, they can show up like an attractor, a believer, a connector, and a doer. In most relationships, you want to be able to pair at least one of your personality traits with the other person. So for example, I hang around a lot of believers. They're spiritual people, they're programmers, they're people who they believe in what they're doing so much that they'll sell their car, they'll sell their house, they'll do everything they can to follow their dream because they absolutely believe it. I have that in common. And so I get along really well with the believers, as well as either the attractors and or the doers. When you're looking for a company to put your time, energy, and potentially money into, remember that there is a lot of businesses that will come and go. Now, the same thing happened with blockchain, right? Years and years ago, in the ICO days, right? There was all these companies that came out post .com who were like, we're going to change the world. We're going to, as a matter of fact, get rid of fiat, and we're going to use these funny little tokens, and we're going to grow trees, and we're going to save the planet. Very few of those companies executed, but they're still around. Then what happened is crypto and of course NFTs came around. Look at the cycle of NFTs. It kind of went up and then it dropped right down. And it will come, each one of those technologies, there are use cases, and there's companies that have stuck around and they create what's most important, which is a really good value proposition. Okay? A value proposition is, what do I do that nobody else does, and do I do it cheaper? Do I do it faster? Or do I do something that will be obsolete next year? So Apple would be something that enhances their technology, and you have the iPhone 1, and then you end up with iPhone 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10. The other service would be something like, let's call it, let's say a Nordstrom's. They're a little bit higher priced, they have better service, and then maybe for the lowest price, we'll just use Walmart. Now what you want to typically do when you're investing in these companies, investing your time and energy, you want to make sure that you have a couple of those value propositions in your back pocket. What do you really associate with? Are you the type of person who likes things to change all the time? Are you a value-driven person? Or do you like high-end customer service, which means you are looking for something that's probably a little bit higher priced? Identify those companies in your circle, whether it's in your town, it's in your state, or it's in the West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, Puerto Rico, Hawaii. Identify locations that you like the area, because the companies that you invest in and the companies that you're a part of, you should be able to spend some time and energy with those people. One last thing that I'm going to leave with today. I have a principle, and it's called the vacation principle. Any company that I'm involved with, I have to look at the owners and the founders and say, would I want to go on vacation with this person? If you can't answer yes to that question, then you're probably not going to want to invest in that company, because the end goal is to be able to spend time with these people that you've put your time, energy, and money with. Okay? So remember that you want to find out what your personality is, find out their personalities. Look at their numbers. Look at their financials. Look at their marketing. Look at the technology that they have, and realize that they're going to be iterating. Those plans, those executive summaries that they're showing you right now will probably end up changing. And so you want to make sure that you're with an organization and individuals that are adaptive, that can change from moving kind of with the flow. So my name is Jeff Crane. I'm with AI Incubated, and I really appreciate this time, and I hope that you all have success and realize that This is the journey that we're on, okay? You'll get there. You just got to work hard. Look at those values and principles that you have, and I think you'll succeed with no problem. Thank you so much and have a great day.